Hey everybody, Richie here from Lens Wizard and RecklessPixel.com, and I got a little Photoshop tutorial for you today on how I created this composite, simple composite for Instagram. I had Instagram specifically in mind when I was creating this, and we're going to start in Lightroom. We're going to go over to Photoshop and then finish off back in Lightroom. That's my typical workflow, how I edit stuff. And I'm going to talk kind of fast because I want to get through it. It's a simple composite that I feel anybody can do in Photoshop, although there is several steps to it just to make it look nice. And please forgive my voice. I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I had the time and I wanted to create this tutorial and get it up. So let's jump right into this. Now, Instagram. When I think of Instagram, I think of colors, I think of gritty, atmosphere, and something interesting. Now, sadly, not every photo that we capture is interesting, but this is one in particular that was just very simple and could be very uninteresting when you see it in a minute how I did this, but I made it interesting. It was done in front of a softbox. Okay, so it was shot in a studio. And what I was going for, this photo shoot was done 3 years ago. This wasn't recent. This was in the studio with a model named Tiffany. You can follow her at Lady Fly Music. And we were using guns as props. And we had some real guns. And then we also had, let's see here, we had a plastic gun that we were using. You can see this is just a fake gun. It's got a warning label right there. So we were using the plastic gun as a placeholder that I could then later Photoshop a different gun in. And this is a banner that I made for my Facebook page. And yeah, you can see this was done back in 2017. So at the time that I was shooting the image in front of the softbox, I was just going for something simple. I kind of knew, right away what I was doing. I'm putting her in front of the softbox. I want this white background, and then I just want to create a silhouette. And all I did to create the silhouette was take it over into Photoshop, cut her out, put a white background in, bring it back into Lightroom, and darken the shadows, contrast, everything like that, and bam, you have a nice silhouette. I just thought it looked cool. Okay, so let's go back to, this is our image. And this is kind of, let's go into the develop module. This is pretty much straight out of camera. All I've done is, I think, let's see, did I crop it any? Yes, I cropped in on it. And then I might have bumped up my temperature there a little bit. And the exposure's up and the contrast is down. So there it is. That's what I have. And then we're just going to hit, we're on a PC, so we're going to hit Control E, and that's going to take us over into Photoshop. Okay, so over here we're going to hit Control J. We want to duplicate it. And I want to cut her out, but there's no real good one-way, one-size-fits-all tool of cutting stuff out. So this is going to be kind of a two-step process. Now, this part of it, feel free to use your own best way of cutting something out. If you use Photoshop, you have your way, and I have my way. So my way is a two-step for this particular image. So let's go up here. We're on our selection tool. Let's make the tool a little bit bigger so we can see it on the screen here. And we're just going to do a quick down and dirty selection. If I try to, refine it way too much and use just Photoshop, it just doesn't work for this image. Believe me, I've tried. So what I do want to do, though, is I want to go around and just kind of, see what I'm getting. Make sure that I'm getting her, getting the gun. Down here, got a little bit of an issue right here. Now, it's going to select the whole thing. So you hit Alt, and then you drop it, bring that back. And then these little holes here, again, hit Alt. Well, come on. And for this one, bring my tool down real small. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, and then just kind of go and check the rest of it. Now, the reason I selected this image, there are several images in this series, and she was facing, I was getting more of just her arm. And this one particular one, she had turned a little bit, and I could see, her breast, chest area here, and you can see the tattoo. She's got these, beautiful tattoos. Also, we have the texture of the wardrobe, just everything. It doesn't show up a lot, but it just kind of sets it off, and that's why I chose this one. So, okay, now we go up and we hit select mask, and again, I'm not going to go real crazy. I'm just selecting the mask, doing it on white. Again, you're going to have your method. So now what I want to do is, just for all intent purposes, I want to put a background in, and I'm going to hit Control-Shift-N for a new layer. Bring that layer in. That's a transparent layer. I'm going to pick, I already have it picked down here, but I'm picking a light color, and then I'm going to hit Alt Backspace, and that's going to fill that in. And it kind of lets me now see, I have this hair here. I know it looks messy. Again, it was a down and dirty selection, and you kind of have a white line going on here. What I like to do now is just go ahead and apply the layer mask. And I know some people don't have, all these plugins, and that's fine. Again, you have your way of cutting it out. I have my way. My way is to go to Topaz Remask 5, and if I've applied my layer mask and then I come into Remask 5, it kind of already sets me up. I don't have to do all the drawing and going around. Now, I want to make sure I'm on blue, and I am. And I'm going to move around. I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to speed this part of it up so you don't have to watch it, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm just going to go around and select these hairs. Okay, so let's speed it up. Okay, now that we've went through and we kind of, hit with our compute brush there, now we want to compute the mask. And it looks pretty good, but if you use Remask, you know that when you zoom in, you're going to find little bits. And what we want to do here, green is what we want to keep, of course. So we're going to go to the inside. And you see when you don't even have to touch that close to the edge, and it gets rid of it. And it's annoying that you have to do this. Someday they'll find a way that you can just Okay, now bring that back over. It made another layer, so we want to shut this layer off. Zoom out, kind of get an idea, and I know that around the edge, it's just, see, you're going to have little dots and stuff like that when you zoom in close. Hit the Control key and move your cursor over top of the thumbnail, and it kind of makes a selection right there. Go up here to select, come down to modify, come down to contract, and my standard is 2 pixels. So you see it, the selection there from last time I'd done this, and it moved everything in 2. And then you're going to go down here and select the layer mask, because you have no layer mask on here. You select your layer mask, and it just moved everything in 2 pixels, and it got rid of a lot of that little grittiness that was around the edge. Now, is this 100% perfect? Well, we still got some issues up here with the hair, but I'll show you how to take care of that in a little bit. So let's take this layer. I'm not going to get rid of it right now. I'm just going to keep it there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my background in now. This is just a temporary background. So what we're going to do is go up here, and we're going to select libraries. And I have this image right here, and I'm just going to drag this image over and put it in. Now zoom out, just drop that up there. Again, this is a 2-element composite, very simple to do. And it's not that hard really at all. So now, hit OK on that, or you could have hit Enter if you wanted to. And now what I want to do is hit Control J. I want to duplicate that, and I want to put that up above her. And I'm going to change the blending mode to color. Now, what if you're not familiar with, first hit Enter, if you're not familiar with what color does for a blending mode, it basically, it's kind of transparent, and it lets you see all the texture underneath, and it's essentially as if you took the paintbrush and painted onto it, but transparently. So now, I got some stuff going on here that I don't like with this overlay. So what I want to do with that is I want to put a layer mask on there. I want to hit B for my brush tool, and I'm using, just the standard Photoshop brush, that first one that's nice and soft, and I'm using 100% on opacity, 100% on flow, just so you understand what I'm doing there. And because I have a white mask, I need a black brush, and I'm going to go and paint out some of this stuff that I don't like. These colors. I don't like that blue in her hair and this kind of red on her forehead. I don't really want that. What I do like, just so you know what I'm going for here, is I love the way this color of the light is affecting her breast area, the chest here. And the whole reason, I chose this is because of that detail there and the detail that is in the wardrobe, everything like that. That's the reason I chose this. I don't like what's going on down here, so I'm going to take all this out. And actually, I just do this again, down and dirty. I'm not being super critical. I'm just going right over the edge, and I want to get that green out of there. Don't want that to be in there. So now, did I get it all? Probably not. And how you can check it is go over to move your cursor over, hold the Alt key, and you can see, no, you didn't get it all. It's always good to check your masks to make sure you don't have holes and gaps and different things like that. So I think this here probably should all be filled in. Okay, and then to get out of that, you just Alt and click on the layer mask. Don't click on the image. So now, what we are going to do is Control Shift N, again on a PC, gives me another layer. I'm going to change the blending mode. It's a blank layer. I'm going to change the blending mode to color, hit Enter, and now I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to go down here, and right about in this area, I'm going to use my color picker, which is Alt and click. And I'm going to click on that yellow right there. And because I have this set to color, I can now paint onto her up here that same color that's down there. And right here, I just kind of want to go easy and blend it in. Don't worry about these white areas here. You can kind of spill over onto that. It's not going to show on the white, or it shouldn't show too much. And just going to kind of blend it in. If I see that it's, I think that's blended in pretty good. Go up here. If I see that it's, I can always go back if I see that it's messed up. Now I do want to make sure I get, and that part right there is going to probably be the only. See, the bigger the brush, the softer it is, the easier it blends. And nobody's going to be paying that much detail to that eyebrow. Although I chose this image because of the eyebrow sticking up. She, classic trademark for Lady Fly is her. I'm sorry. I'm saying eyebrow. It's eyelashes. Trademark is her eyelash. And I'm just going to go ahead and continue painting in here, go over that red that I left there. And here I'm actually going to choose some of this yellow from back there, make the brush smaller, and just kind of blend that in. And I'm still going to fix this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. Let's see what we got here. Just find colors that work for you. That's basically colors that work for you. Okay, so now looks pretty good. It's pretty much what I'm going for. And let's go down here to the layer mask. Okay, so to the layer mask, I want to have black. And I'm going to go down to 10% opacity. Click 1 on your keyboard. That'll take it down to 10. And I'm just going to kind of step on this stuff here. And what it's also helping to do by doing this, it's helping to wrap the light around her a little bit. If you were standing in front of light, it would wrap around you and give you that glow. Can even, well, I was going to say could even do it to the gun, but maybe not too much. Okay, so now that I've finished going around and doing, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect, at least for this image. If your image, you can spend as much time on it as you want, but for me, this is what I did. So now, I'm going to make sure I'm up here on the top layer, and I am going to Control, Alt, Shift, and then hit E, and that gives us, I call it a punch up. I punch everything up to the top. And now I'm going to make it into a smart object. I have a keyboard shortcut for that, but you can make it into a smart object by right-clicking and going into, convert to a smart object. So I made it into a smart object, and now, again, I'm going to go to a plugin, and I know everybody doesn't have plugins, but this is something that I've had for years. The Nick collection, I've had these since back, I actually bought them when it was Nick, and then got them free again from Google. Color Effects Pro, because Google bought Nick and kind of had them for a while. Color Effects Pro, and actually it's opening up, let's see. It's opening up pretty much where I left off with my last one. So let me just turn these off and show you what I did. This is actually, because they're here, it's going to make it go a little bit quicker. So for Pro Contrast, what I did was, let's see. For Pro Contrast, I came in, I'll show you what it looks like without it. And I put some contrast on there, but I really then wanted to dampen it down after I put the contrast. So what I did was I put some tonal contrast and I really softened it. So you can see what that did. That softened everything. And I have a whole bunch of control points here. If I turn on these control points, you can see all the different control points that I went through, where I wanted soft over here, I wanted hard there. I know this is a little over the top, and I said it was an easy tutorial, but for me, this is easy, just going in, dropping these control points in. So the next thing I did then, of course, was cross balance. And cross balance, you can kind of see what that does. That kind of helped with the atmosphere, as I call it. It helped with the atmosphere, it helped with color, and it helped soften things down, blend things a little bit. we're going to do some more blending here right at the end for this hair because, as you can see, it is kind of messed up. And then I have Midnight. And Midnight was another filter that I used. But with Midnight, what I did was I went down to 18%. You know, if you use Midnight, use too much Midnight, well, it's like the name says, it's midnight. And it blacked everything out too much. So anyway, we go down to 18% on that. And that was the filter that I used, or, you know, the plug-in that I used to do that. So now, get out of that, let it do its thing here, and we'll go back into Photoshop. Okay, so now we're back into Photoshop, and what I did here to kind of finalize and get rid of this, you know, mess that we have going on here, this was my resolution, or the way I resolved that. We want a new Smart Object via copy, so that gives us another layer. And what I did with this was I went up and I put some Gaussian blur. So let's go to blur, go down to Gaussian blur, and I think I did 4. Let me just type a 4 in there. Yeah, I did 4. And click on that. And now what you want to do is you want to block that out. So selected layer, go down and hold the Alt key, and you get a black mask so we don't see the blur. Now we're going to go take our brush tool, and we want to use white, and we're on 10% opacity, so we're not doing a whole lot. And we're just going to start blurring it. And just go around the edge. Of course, the more you hit it, the more you're going to blur it. And that blur there again is like kind of a glow, as if you were standing in front of those lights and you had that glow coming around you. You wouldn't be able to see all the detail. So don't get carried away with it too much here in the face, because I like to keep the texture of the lips and stuff like that. We could put a little on the gun. We could go down here on the edge on that. And this just helped, I felt, sell it a little bit more. I mean, everybody's so used to composites today. A lot of people can tell a composite when they see it. But hey, they say, hey, that's a good composite. I like it, you know? And that's the way I kind of felt this came out. Like, yeah, you might not think that she's actually out there in the street, but with a gun, but it looks good. Looks good. So there it is. And now we can go down. If we want to make our file size a little smaller, we can, you know, delete some of this stuff that we didn't need. But I'm just going to keep it like that. I'm going to hit Control S. It's going to save it. Control W is going to close it. And we're going to go back over here to Lightroom. And we're going to wait for it to come in. And there it comes. And because we're in the develop module, we see this red where we got some clipping. So if we want to, we could bring the highlights down just a little bit right there. And then, you know, we can put our Instagram crop on there if we want to, or leave it just like this. I think I left it, the original one, I left it just the way it was. And then I let Instagram crop it and I moved it around. But there you go. There you have it. That's how I did the Instagram composite. I know this tutorial is a little bit longer than I said it was going to be, but hey, hit like, hit subscribe, or if you're seeing this on IGTV, you know, just hit the heart down there and comments down below. And don't forget to follow @Ladyfly Music.